You know that feeling when you meet someone and you just click? That's what Gay BFF app is all about. It's a new app just for making friends, not dates. Actual friends in the LGBTQ plus community. Whether you just moved to a new city or you're looking to expand your circle of friends or you just want more queer friends in your life, Gay BFF makes it easy to connect with people who get you. Everyone on the app is also verified, so no AI, no bots, no fake conversations. Sign up today at gaybff.app, currently available in web browser or in the Apple Store. Hi, thanks for joining me on the Listen Up Girl podcast. I'm your host, Zach Randall Friedman. Today we have news for Friday, August the 28th. We got 6 stories today. A New York wastewater plant employee takes his coworkers to court. 179 members of Congress weigh in on a Supreme Court case about preschoolers, and a Kansas school district folds under federal pressure. Only 2 of today's stories are political, so let's get into it. First, we start with Grand Island, New York employee sues over anti-gay discrimination. An employee at the wastewater treatment plant in Grand Island, New York, has filed a lawsuit against the town, alleging years of anti-gay discrimination and harassment on the job. Timothy Burns has worked at a facility since 2011, and according to court documents, the mistreatment started in 2020, right after the coworkers found out he was gay. He says one coworker directed homophobic slurs at him and repeatedly attacked his competence. He also alleges a coworker filed a false report accusing him of sludge spill, a claim that put his professional license and regulatory standing at risk. It gets worse. Burns says he later started using a handicap placard because of a physical issue caused by workplace conditions, and this brought a second wave of harassment and isolation on top of the first. He claims a coworker abruptly cut off all communications with him and avoided shared spaces entirely, even though coordination between the two was essential for safe plant operations. Burns also alleges he was passed over for advancement while less qualified coworkers moved ahead. He's seeking a formal declaration that the town violated his rights along with damages. This case is still working its way through the courts, and as we get more details on it, I'll make sure to bring them to you in future episodes. Our next story is 179 members of Congress back LGBTQ plus preschoolers in Supreme Court case. So political story number 1, a group of 179 members of Congress, including 13 senators, has filed a brief with the Supreme Court urging the justices to uphold Colorado's anti-discrimination policy for its universal preschool program. The case, St. Mary Catholic Parish versus Roy, will get an oral arguments on November 3rd. And here's the setup. Colorado voters approved a universal preschool program back in 2020, funded with public dollars. Participating schools have to follow a non-discrimination policy that covers religion, sexual orientation, and gender identity. Some Catholic schools in the Archdiocese of Denver want the public funding without following the policy, and they're arguing that being required not to discriminate against LGBTQ families violates their religious freedom. Congressional Equality Caucus Chair Mark Takano led the effort, joined by the Senators Tammy Baldwin and Jeff Merkley. Their brief argues that the court grants a religious exception here. It opens the door to challenging a long list of other non-discrimination protections that took decades to build. As Takano put it, public dollars are meant to be for public good use, and that shouldn't come with a caveat to turn away kids based on who their parents are. So we'll be tracking this one closely as oral arguments approach, and I'll bring you updates and future news segments for this as well. Now we go to Kansas School District agrees to out trans students to parents. So political story number 2 is Topeka Public Schools. Unified School District 501 has reached a resolution agreement with the Federal Education Department, ending a year-long investigation tied to what officials labeled as gender ideology in the district. Under the agreement, the district will stop creating gender support plans for students, will let parents view any plans that already exist, and will hold FERPA compliance into staff training that has to be approved by the Education Department's own Student Privacy Policy Office. Here's the part that matters most. A district spokesperson told local reporters that Topeka never actually received a parent complaint about access to student records. This investigation didn't start with a parent. It started with a Kansas Attorney General, Kris Kobach, who based a complaint filed by a right-wing advocacy group. The district is calling this underlying complaint unsubstantiated and says it doesn't even have the active gender support plans right now. But it signed the agreement anyway to protect the federal funding and avoid drawn-out legal fight. Education Secretary Linda McMahon held the agreement up as a model for other districts to follow voluntarily. The other Kansas districts caught up, and the same investigation haven't folded yet. Next, the Real Housewives of New York newcomer reveals she's in a lavender marriage. So some entertainment news to shift the mood. Haley Glassman, one of the newest cast members joining the Real Housewives of New York City for its 16th season, reveals in the show's new trailer that she's in what's known as a lavender marriage. I'm in a lavender marriage, Glassman tells the group. I sleep with women and intimately as well. When a castmate asks whether her husband is okay with that, Glassman confirms he knows, and he jokes about how they each cope differently when they fight. A lavender marriage traditionally describes a marriage of convenience where one or both partners are LGBTQ+, hysterically used to conceal someone's identity or protect a career. Glassman is joining a franchise that's featured a handful of out queer castmates in recent seasons, and her storyline is already shaping up to be one of the season's bigger threads. Can't wait to see it. Next, Adults Season 2 premieres today. So sticking with entertainment, Season 2 of Adults premieres today on Hulu. The show follows a group of housemates navigating everyday chaos while trying to hold on to the friendships that got them through Season 1. If you were into the ensemble energy last season, it's worth adding this to your weekend queue of shows to watch. And then a 40-year-old New Orleans gay bar finally takes credit cards. So our last story, a lighter one to close things out. Phoenix Bar, New Orleans' self-described leather, bear, and fetish bar, announced this week that it officially is accepting credit cards for the first time. The 24/7 spot has been cash only since it opened back in 1983. The owners joke they finally are entering the modern era, though they were quick to add cash is still king and they always love you when you bring it. That timing isn't random. Southern decadence takes over the city starting August 31st, and Phoenix wants to be ready for the crowds. So that's the show for today. One man fighting back against years of workplace harassment, Congress weighing in on a case that could reshape non-discrimination laws, and a district that folded under pressure, plus a little Bravo drama and a bar finally catching up to 2026. I'll be back tomorrow with more LGBTQ plus news. If you haven't subscribed to this podcast, please do. If you have left a rating, it only takes 2 minutes. Leave a rating for the shows because the more ratings we receive, the more people that get to hear this news. And thanks for listening. Thanks.